So the idea for this product came from some experiences you had during the Black Forest fire. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, the very first day that we went out there, I was part of a strike team, and we rolled up on our first house, and we were literally minutes too late. The fire on the ground and the crown had already came up over. Although the structure was still standing, there was nothing that we could do. It was the radiant heat had already heated things up in the house, in the attic. So we just had to give on that one and move to the next home. The next home that we moved into, we started looking around as we were doing some mitigation, cutting down some small trees, knocking down some wooden fence, things like that. And there were multiple garden hoses laid around the yard from the homeowner with the stake type sprinklers for just a yard sprinkler on the ground. So I just looked at my fire chief. I was like, "Hey chief, would you like me to put these up on the roof?" And he just kind of looked and he's like, "Yeah, sure, go ahead." So 10 or 15 minutes, it felt like an eternity, being up there trying to get these things to cover most of the roof. And we ended up getting all of it covered with just about 5 or 6 sprinkler heads. And we ended up having to evacuate that home. The fire had crept up on us, and the flame lengths were 100, 150 feet, and we had to run approximately 200 feet out of the driveway to get to our vehicles in a safe area. And the smoke and fire, rolled right up the property, and the smoke engulfed it, and we couldn't see it anymore. So we went ahead and moved to the next home. Our work was done for what we could do at that particular place. So hours later, when we made our way back around that particular area, the home was still standing, and the homes all around it were burned. And that was the only house in the area that ended up making it through that particular part of the fire. So when it came to the concept, at the time, obviously, it was just doing what you can, as much as you can, to save the home. So I ended up calling one of my friends, Herman DeBoard, who's the CEO of House Hydrant Systems now. Just said, "Hey, you're not going to believe what we ended up doing." Just trying to give him some stories, some things that we'd done out there. And a few days later, he calls me and he's like, "Hey, I got an idea. I want to run something past you." And that's really where the hands met the brain and where the concept has actually originated.
Have you had a chance to go back and speak with the homeowners whose house you saved?
We did. Myself and Herman went out there a couple of weeks later. They were back in their home, and they were full of joy, full of hugs, just elaborating on how everything was done around their house, and really, really was interested in the concept and was absolutely on board. And they really, really think that was a huge part of what ended up saving their home.